Hello, and welcome to the first in a series of Healthcheck Webinars provided by NMBS in conjunction with Moorgate Management. As part of NMBS's ongoing commitment to help you as members, Merchant Healthcheck series has been devised to provide you with some top tips based on Moorgate's experience to help look at ways to grow, adapt, or turn around your business. These bite-sized webinars will focus on important elements within your business, so by the end of each webinar, they will hopefully have provided you with some key takeaways for you to use within your business. The first webinar in the series is based around 100-day plans in the context of acquisition integration for when you are thinking of acquiring another business or branch. Within this webinar, we will give a very brief introduction on 100-day plans. We will then talk through what a 100-day plan is and its purpose. We'll then talk through how to create it and how to use it. And then finally, we'll talk about the benefits. It's fair to say that if you fail to plan, you're likely plan to fail. So by having a plan, in this case a 100-day plan, it will help you have a clear understanding of what needs to be done by who, by when, and what the consequences are if that doesn't happen. Moving on to what is a 100-day plan. For this webinar, the 100-day plan is being used in the context of managing an acquisition and/or a subsequent integration of an acquired merchant business or branch. But it can also be used for other key areas of your business, like, for example, planning the first 100 days onboarding of a new sales director. It essentially provides a roadmap or path containing the actions or work streams, as they're more commonly called, to follow, setting out what needs to be done, by whom and by when. Looking at the purpose of a 100-day plan is, as the name suggests, it covers a set period of time, typically the first 100 days of an acquisition, which are crucial to ensure two things. Firstly, the completeness of work streams or actions, so that everything that should get done does get done. And secondly, the accuracy of how they're undertaken, so that the benefits, or synergies as they're often called, that you set out to achieve from acquiring the business or branch can be achieved. The 100-day plan also provides four things. A single source of the truth, being what is happening that can be communicated to your colleagues or the project team undertaking the integration. Secondly, it can be used by a project manager, or PMO as they're called, so that any changes found each day post-acquisition, whether to the existing or new work streams that have been found, can be tracked and their timing changed. Thirdly, the 100-day plan provides an easy to understand and visible critical path of what needs to be done. And finally, a 100-day plan can be measured and monitored against on a daily basis. It's worth noting that sometimes a 100-day plan can start before an acquisition. So in that context, it would typically include tasks regarding commercial, financial and environmental due diligence, and the legal process too, including work streams such as the share purchase agreement, or SPA as it's referred to, warranties and indemnities. Moving on to how to build a 100-day plan, there are several key elements you'd need to establish. Firstly, what is the acquisition target? So exactly what is it you're looking to acquire, and how are you looking to acquire it? Maybe it's just the assets you're purchasing, or it could be the entire share capital of the business. Next factor to establish is about the synergies or benefits and cost savings that you're looking to achieve from acquiring the business or branch, and which of these are hard synergies, typically these are cost savings that are easier to realise, and which of those are soft synergies, so typically these are things like revenue increases or financial benefits that are less certain to achieve. As part of building it, you'll also need to know the timescale. So what timescale are you looking to integrate the acquisition or branch in, which is often driven by the need to realise those synergies. Next is to establish the project manager and team, So who is actually going to manage the project on a day-to-day basis, called the project manager? Who's responsible for the overall success of the project, referred to as the project sponsor? And who's going to be doing the work, the project team? And do they have the skills needed to do the integration? And are they going to be full-time, or do they need backfilling to keep your existing business running? Then there's a need to establish what tool you're going to use to create the 100-day plan. Are you going to use Excel to manage the plan? Or are you going to be looking at some more specific software like Trello or Microsoft Project to manage the plan? Having established these, the 100-day plan will contain several things. First of these being work streams, which is just a list of activities or actions that need to be undertaken to deliver the integration, which will fall within a series of headings that will typically include people, including communication, growth drivers, being things like channels to market, the revenue and margin as part of the acquisition integration, operations, which will cover things like health and safety, procurement, transport and warehousing, and financial areas, including things like profitability, working capital, and items such as 13-week cash flows. Next will be timescales, being how you're going to measure the progress of the project. So this will typically be by day or by week. Also included will be responsibilities, showing things like who is responsible for things like completing tasks, as well as who's accountable, i.e. who actually owns the outcome. In addition, there will be priorities, which help to show how important each task is to be completed at a specific point in the plan, and is often either red, amber or green, red being high priority through to green being low or completed. Usually there will also be a synergy tracker which shows what hard or soft synergies, which we referred to earlier, have been achieved by when, so you can see what has actually been achieved compared to what was planned, with the difference or variance being shown. Having looked at what needs to be established and included, as far as a template of what a 100-day plan looks like, we've tried to provide one here. So in this example, we've shown in more detail the first two headings, being project cadence, or the process being used to manage the 100-day plan that we'll talk about shortly, and people, with example work streams shown under each. In terms of the format of the template, you'll see that going across the plan from left to right are the numbered work streams and who is responsible and accountable for each, their priority, and the estimated timing and likely duration to complete each work stream. And down the left-hand side, each of the work streams are detailed that need to be completed under each of the headings. Although we've not shown the detailed work streams here, the 100-day plan will also include headings such as growth drivers, operational, financial, IT, legal and environmental, which would have the relevant work streams shown underneath. Hopefully, this gives you now an idea at a very high level of what a 100-day template would look like. Focusing on the work streams or actions we referred to earlier, we've set out what some of these would typically contain to help. So firstly, on project cadence, it will cover work streams setting out how we're actually going to deliver and manage the project, including how the project team is going to be managed itself. Next, in terms of people, it will cover work streams including communications to colleagues, customers, suppliers, and external stakeholders too, such as banks and credit agencies, as well as work streams on how to bring the organisational structure together. Work streams for growth drivers would include things like attracting new and retaining and growing existing customers, about channels to market and their profitability, i.e. which areas of the business you've acquired are profitable, but also sales and margin performance and training along with marketing too. Next, looking at each of the individual areas within operations, health and safety work streams would cover and focus on risk assessments and audits, incident and accident reporting, and whether training is required and up to date. Procurement would cover work streams including buying terms, management of price book and category strategy, for example, good, better, best, and how that compares to your existing business. Transport work streams would cover things like fleet utilisation, renewals, driver training, retention and compliance too. Under warehousing, typical work streams would be stock management, including looking at mins, maxes and economic order quantities for the acquisition, together with stock taking, yard utilisation and shift patterns. Facilities work streams would include, in particular, dilapidations, reviews, branch securities and things like tea and toilet provisioning. Financial work streams often cover things that have been highlighted in the financial due diligence to follow up, synergy tracking, accounts payable and accounts receivable processes, credit insurance, banking facilities and covenants, and management information in particular to understand how your newly acquired business is performing. IT work streams would include ERP integration reviews, potential use of data warehouses to provide you with that information on a more timely basis if you have different ERP systems in your newly acquired businesses to your own, network security reviews, and user access matrices. And finally, on the legal and environmental work streams, these would include particular actions around commercial due diligence, including warranty follow-up, together with terms and condition reviews, insurance cover, along with focus on environmental, social and governmental aspects of your newly combined business, including review of scopes 1 to 3. The final part of building the 100-day plan is looking at the synergies. As far as typical synergies are concerned, they tend to be grouped, as we've set out earlier, whether they be hard synergies, i.e. easier to realise, or those which are softer, typically revenue increases or financial benefits which are less certain. So as part of the process, you would often look at the probabilities of these being achieved too, rather than taking on face value that you can achieve 100% of the synergies you've identified. Some examples, therefore, of hard synergies would be improved purchasing power, with the combined higher purchasing volumes and opportunity for improved off-invoice price, rebate and marketing support, as well as headcount reduction, where there's duplication of roles within the acquired business. What's often overlooked, though, is the opportunity to redeploy or retrain into other areas of the business. Operational efficiencies would be another example, typically arising through better use of newly combined operations. A good example being fleet utilisation with newly acquired branches and vehicles in your network. Soft synergies, as we've said, are less tangible though, with examples including cross-selling to customers with increased revenue from expanded product ranges. Just for completeness, it's worth mentioning a third type of synergy, the financial synergy, which does exist but relates solely to financial benefits derived from the combined business. So your finance director or head of finance, they would typically be more focused on this type of synergy with things like strengthened balance sheets and lower cost of capital, so not typically found in an operationally focused 100-day plan. Having built a 100-day plan, how would you use it? We've touched on cadence, and by that we mean how the project is managed. So we've given examples here of some of the things that have worked incredibly well. The first of these being end-of-day project calls. So these are typically more informal, as your team are going to be based around the various branches, distribution centres or timber mills, and conducted at the end of each day and run by the project manager. And they're designed to be an around-the-table approach, with each team member providing an update on their work streams. Most importantly, it means that in the early days post-acquisition, where people are looking for reassurance in uncertainty, and talking to colleagues in the newly acquired businesses, then the same consistent message can be given by your team. Then, on a weekly basis, there tends to be a more formal end-of-week meeting with set agendas using the 100-day plan as a guide. These are designed to review progress against the plan and agree next week's priorities together with risk status. Large multi-branch acquisitions will often have a one-pager prepared as well, given there'll be a greater number of tasks involved, which will be usually prepared ahead of the meeting. Next, centralised document store sounds simple, and it is. It's really just having a single repository or place where everyone can access and update the documents whilst working wherever they are across the newly acquired business. One other point we felt worth mentioning is the actual methodology used in terms of the integration, that being observe, test and implement, which as it sounds, the most value here is delivered through integration, and you bought the business for a reason, So within your newly acquired business, if you look at what already exists, evaluate it, and actually if those processes are better than your existing ones, then you can utilize those within your existing business too. Finally, it's worth summarizing what the benefits of using a 100-day plan are. The first of these is that it's a single source of the truth, in that the 100-day plan provides one place where all the team involved in the acquisition can find what needs to be done, when and by whom, and can update in real time, so as the owner, you know exactly where you're at. The second benefit is about speed of execution, based on what gets measured gets done, with a 100-day plan providing a simple yet effective way to measure and monitor the progress. The third benefit is the ability to manage when things go wrong, and typically they will. So with daily and weekly cadence around the plan, which we've outlined earlier, when new work streams arise or when existing ones do not go according to plan, a 100-day plan allows you to capture and reprioritise the order those work streams are undertaken. The fourth, and arguably one of the most important, is that it provides greater surety on delivering the planned synergies. And by using the 100-day plan to track the work streams that will deliver the hard and soft synergies we referred to earlier, the likelihood of them being realised is greatly increased. Hopefully, from watching this webinar, you now have some key takeaways to use within your business regarding 100-day plans. But if you have any questions or would like to talk specifically about your business, please feel free to contact us directly or connect with us online to follow the work we are doing and the best practices and ideas we share, should you need our help in the future. So thank you for your time, and we hope that you found the first in this series of Healthcheck webinars provided by NMBS in conjunction with Moorgate Management of benefit. And we look forward to sharing the next in the webinar series with you. Thank you for listening.